What's good, everybody? It's Ross. Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a great kick start for the new year, some fresh determinations and all that good stuff. So I wanted to kick off this year by doing a video response to a top 5 choice question about who is considered from the culture, and this video is not like a diss video or anything like that to anyone really. I'm definitely not top 5 Troy. In general, I got like mad love for this guy, especially he's like an up and coming YouTuber. We share similar views on a lot of topics. Shout out to him, just for, I think this is a good opportunity like that creates a conversation, and I wanted to really make this video to maybe shed some light on things that people might not know about or understand. And just simply to answer his question as if I was on the live, and so it was a live video that he was doing. He was broadcasting something, and I'll just go ahead and play the video. I'll just play the video.
This is where the whole culture thing comes in. I'll be very brief on this. Y'all know how I feel about the word culture and all that. Like, it's just an overused joint. I don't understand how anyone can say what's the dirt's not from the culture when he knows so much about hip hop. Someone will have to break that down to me. He knows a lot about hip hop. I even recently told him, like, bro, I would like to see this reflected in your channel. Like, a lot, but if you look at the channel, it would just seem it's mostly Kendrick and Drake. But I mean, that's the algorithm. If you want to be successful at YouTube, you do these things. This is why he has 300 plus K and I have 15K. I'll be all over the place with my topics. He's working algorithm. Y'all got to help define that culture thing for me. Because when someone knows so much about hip hop, I don't understand how you can say they're not from the culture. So maybe y'all just got to define, maybe we just have different definitions of what from the culture means. He only knows.
So yeah, that was top 5 Troy's video, and his question. Shout out to him. And yeah, we might have different definitions of culture. I'll do my best to break it down, and if we have the same definition, then we'll be on the same page. If not, then let me know, bro. But yeah, so in general, I agree that the word culture is overused, 100%. It's confusing. It seems everyone just screams the word culture, for the culture, for the culture, for the culture. What about the culture? And it really just makes hip hop almost like a harvest group, where vultures can come and pick at whatever pieces they like, claim it as culture, and then leave the scraps pretty much. So I completely agree with Troy with that word, culture being kind of played out. And so to me, what that means is we need to delineate the word. It's confusing as hell when people just say culture. Like, okay, what culture? There's subcultures within cultures. There's the American culture. We got, like, what are we talking about here? And so I decided I'm going to personally do my best to call it Black American culture, especially when I'm referring to hip hop. As we know, hip hop is rooted in Black American culture completely. Dating back to even before the 80s and 90s. When I think about rapping, some people want to say, oh, it came from Jamaica. No, it didn't. It came from Black Americans here.
On a wind and tide, hey children, stop, steal, and listen to me. God walked down to the brandy sea. He declared that the evil to send a man, and then he decided to destroy the land. He spoke to Noah. Noah stopped. He said, Noah, I want you to build me an ark. I want you to build it 3 cubits long. I want you to build it big and strong. I want it 50 high and 50 wide, so it will stand the wind and tide. It's oh, Noah, oh, Noah.
I'm personally going to do my best to say Black American culture, or I'll say ADOS culture or ADOS culture, which stands for American Descendants of Slavery, coined by Antonio Moore, Yvette Carnell, from the ADOS Advocacy Foundation. I think ADOS is super specific. It's about the people whose lineage ties back to the institution of chattel slavery, which really built the wealth of this country, and we can connect all of our stories back to those roots, if you will. So anyway, ADOS or Black American, I might say it interchangeably, but it's the same thing when I say it. So with that being said, I'm going to do my best to break down what it means to be from the culture, specifically Black American culture, and why What's the Dirt, despite his knowledge of hip hop, it's not part of it. Culture in this context isn't about knowing a lot per se. It's about lived experience. It's about lineage, and it's about respect, for the people who created it and who are sustaining it. And so, knowing about hip hop doesn't equate to living the realities that birthed it. It's kind of like reading tons of books about, marathons, but never actually running a marathon.
You have to break up your rhythm. Like this.
Now that's interesting, because in the film books I've studied, the anthropologists say in order to properly sandwalk, you actually have to... Never mind. Please keep going.
So What's the Dirt is a Canadian white man with no direct connection to Black American culture, obviously ethnicity. So at the very most, he would be considered a guest in Black American culture. He's considered a guest into the hip hop sphere. Off rip, he would be considered a guest. Now, where he's at currently, he has been demoted to a culture vulture. Drake, in my opinion, is a guest to Black American culture. Yes, he is half ADOS, but his upbringing is rooted in his Jewish heritage, with his Jewish mother. That's who raised him. He acts like a guest. And so some people might argue that he is of the culture. Drake is of the culture, but I think with these lyrics written here, I think with these lyrics in general, we gotta think twice on some things. That's what I'll say. So going back to What's the Dirt, he was a guest, and now he's a culture vulture. And how this happens is, I think there's different ways that this can happen, where you can be a guest and you're a culture vulture. There's different ways. There's different people who've done different things, but let's just specifically about What's the Dirt. He made disparaging comments about, the company man, calling the company man a Carlton for not using the N-word regularly.
I didn't say the N-word for 20 years.
Bro, I could kind of tell.
Now, this clearly shows a lack of understanding and respect for Black American people and the diversity within our culture. This perpetuates harmful stereotypes and disrespects the very people who created the culture he claims to love. Just straight up, and that says a lot. The fact that he can be how 0 to 100 he was able to get on his disparaging comments about the company man. It doesn't matter how much you know about hip hop. If you lack true respect of the people whose lineage birthed hip hop, jazz, and R&B under the harshest conditions imaginable, the years of redlining, disenfranchisement, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Rosewood, all of these experiences created the music, this beautiful, rich tapestry of music that is born from this suffering. It's not enough, to just love the music. You have to honor the people and the pain that produced it. You have to honor the people. You have to show respect. And the thing is, you don't have to be white to be a culture vulture. Black people can be culture vultures too. And so some of us consider Akademiks a culture vulture. Maybe a lot of us. Akademiks, who is a first-generation Jamaican immigrant who grew his claim to fame from the War in Chirac series. He documented the harsh lifestyle of Black men, a significant number of them being children. A lot of them were under the age of 18, falling victim to gang violence, which is directly connected to everything I said, the displacement, systemic neglect, and disenfranchisement of ADOS people from generations before. For example, O Block, like many areas in Chicago, is a product of redlining and the destruction of Black communities. The benign neglect from the state and the city to truly care about these communities. The government displaced these Black families under the guise of urban renewal, stripping them of generational wealth, leaving them with inadequate housing, underfunded schools, and virtually no economic opportunity. So when people are suffocated by poverty and denied access to basic resources, crime becomes, it's almost like it's a symptom. Crime becomes a symptom of survival. So most of these so-called gang wars are poverty crimes at the end of the day. My point is, academics refer to these individuals with nicknames, almost dehumanizing them in this process, and treated the entire series as if like he was observing a safari for a National Geographic series. It was, it's grotesque when you really think about it. And so this is the essence of being a culture vulture. Academics' content didn't reflect an understanding of the systemic roots of violence in Chicago, nor did it show any commitment or, any approach to uplift the community. Instead, it reduced Black American pain to clickable headlines and monetized trauma for his own gain that he is still benefiting today. Another example, Kai Cenat, who is a first generation Haitian immigrant whose entire aesthetic is Black American culture, head to toe, even saying the word nigga every other sentence. He shared his own views about ADOS people and how he completely does not care about us as people unless it's convenient to him. So I'm gonna show this video of Kai Cenat.
Not cultured at all. Stop dick riding. I don't want to hear, when I'm asking general questions, I'm not asking y'all niggas. Stop dick riding. Y'all niggas is black. You're black. You're just black.
Just be yourself and hit them with hey. Also, I just bought the Anarchy hoodie yesterday. Can't wait. Finna resubscribe. And a little W female viewer. Big 2 months December 9th.
Thank you so much. Bro, you're just fully American. You're African American, bro. That's it. How was that see you in 30? That wasn't an insult. That was strictly, you're black. You're not Trinidadian. You're not Jamaican. You're not African. You're not, word. You're not Ghanaian. You're not Dominican. You're not Puerto Rican. You're not Cuban. You are American.
I farted
So everyone I mentioned here lacks the compassion and understanding that without Black Americans fighting alongside Martin Luther King and all of our Black American heroes during the Civil Rights Movement, which deconservatized America, there would have never been the Immigration Act of 1965. This act enabled 90% of the immigrants here today, including academics and Kai Cenat's family, to benefit from the opportunities that they enjoy now. This progress is a direct result of the hard work and sacrifices of my ancestors, and so many of whom are still alive today, including my grandparents, uncles, aunts. You have to show respect. I want to share a personal example. I was in Okinawa for the last 10 or 12 days, which is a beautiful place. Y'all got to go one day. You guys got to go. And the food is amazing. So, but my wife is from there. My daughter, we went and went to see her family. And so, the Okinawan customs, traditions, and identity, stem from centuries of unique experiences, similar to Black American culture, similar to any culture, right? So even though I feel like I've studied a lot, and admire Okinawan culture, I'm still a guest. And and my knowledge doesn't make me a part of their culture all of a sudden. I would never presume to critique or diminish their ways. It's about respect, and I have complete respect. One custom I learned, which actually I think applies to all Japanese culture, but is about the chopsticks. And I was eating chopsticks. I left the chopsticks in the bowl of rice, and it's sticking out like this. It's kind of like, and so my wife was like, "Hey, it needs to be straight." And so at the time I didn't understand it, but I completely fixed it. I was like, oh snap, because I'm a guest. Now after dinner, I asked like, oh, what does it mean? And it resembles making offerings to the dead, which is like inappropriate to do at like your regular, restaurant outing. This is something that they would do during the funeral rituals, and it would be the incense sticks that would be put into the rice, and it would be offering the food to the dead. So regardless, I completely adjusted, And it was because it's rooted in my respect for my wife's family, for the people there, and the culture in general. So I think this is the difference. I respected the people and their traditions. You know, I'll wrap it up by saying this. To truly be from the culture, you know, you need to have more than just knowledge. You need to honor the people and the pain that birthed it, you know, and the customs that surround it, you know. And so What's the Dirt isn't from the culture. You know, he is a guest, and now he's demoted as a culture vulture. You know, his role is to listen, learn, and respect, which I think he has a hard time doing right now. So no one's really gonna pay too much attention to him moving forward, especially in Black American culture, hip hop, right? So, you know, Black American culture is not a trend or a playlist. You know, it's history. It's a history. It's a lineage. It's a legacy. And so we have to make sure that we treat it that way. And I hope that this might shed some light on how, you know, as Black Americans in this space, how can we gatekeep? How can we really identify people who are just wanting to exploit? There's a lot of them out there. It's easy money for them. So we got to make sure, how do we identify that? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If you guys haven't checked out my last video about What's the Dirt, you can watch it right here. And appreciate the support. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitch too. I'm gonna start doing some live streaming on here and to Twitch. And yeah, just gonna kick it. Maybe play some video games, make some beats. Definitely working on some new music. So appreciate y'all, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.